There are a lot of live-action shows that feature martial arts, rubber suits, and pyrotechnics. But there's one show that stands out from the rest, Kamen Rider. It's a long-running franchise that's been ongoing since 1971. Unlike its contemporaries, Kamen Rider has darker themes and often deeper narratives. The show overhauls its cast and story every year, with rarely any connection to its predecessors outside of big crossover movies. But one narrative element ties them all together. The titular Kamen Riders are deeply connected to the very monsters that they fight. This relationship changes with every entry, with some showcasing it better than others. It can be as simple as having the same source of power, or as deep as being the same race as the monsters. You might expect this trend to have started somewhere in the early years of its run, but this was actually established as early as the very first episode of the very first entry in this mega franchise. And today's D&D adventure lets you experience the birth of the franchise yourself. Unlike most adventures, however, this one starts you off with the rewards at the very beginning. Welcome to My Wife Is, the MC. I'm V, and I've been running and designing D&D Homebrew for over 10 years. Today's adventure is part of an ongoing yearly event called Dungeon Jam, where a bunch of your favorite D&D creators, hopefully including me, present a 5-room dungeon. 5-room dungeon is a framework that lets DMs quickly build an adventure using quote-unquote rooms to deliver a satisfying narrative and mechanical experience in 1 or 2 sessions. Room 1 is a challenge at the start of the dungeon. Room 2 offers role-playing or puzzles. Room 3 has a trick or setback. Room 4 is the big climax, and Room 5 is the reward or the twist. The author John Force says more about it over on roleplayingtips.com, which I'll link in the description. Friend of the channel and Dungeon Jam daddy DaeDae over on Mystic Arts also talks about it in his introductory video that I'll also link to.
Where if you remind me you have dark vision, I will kill you.
This is actually the second year of Dungeon Jam. Last time, I did a zombie apocalypse on a train adventure called End of the Line, inspired by Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress. And this year, I present to you The Flight of the Unbound. It's inspired by the Kamen Rider franchise's first episode, where the hero escapes an evil organization before he loses his identity. It has everything you need, from maps, guidelines, balancing, and of course, custom stat blocks for running this level 5 to 8 adventure. Players also get some cool new feats or magic items inspired by the Kamen Rider. This adventure also offers a decent amount of combat, but it'll also challenge your player's morality in some key places. Well, I say challenge, but if you have a bunch of murder hobos, maybe check out my other adventure instead. Before we begin, I want to let you know that this adventure is completely free. It even has a 35% discount code for all my Kamen Rider homebrew on the very first page of the document. Though there is a way to get all my stuff for free that I'll talk about later. And with that, are you comfy at the table? Let's take pop culture to pen and paper with today's homebrew, The Flight of the Unbound. And with narrative elements. And it introduces the main antagonist of this adventure, the Waking Shock. A secret society that commits sudden acts of mass terror. While their leadership is shrouded in mystery, their seemingly inexhaustible resources and manpower suggest the presence of rich, powerful, and amoral benefactors. One of the Waking Shock's MOs is sowing distrust among the populace before an attack, taking innocent civilians and brainwashing them in their secret hideouts before sending them back as sleeper agents. It's a very simple, chaotic evil faction, and that's by design. 1, it keeps you from getting bogged down by too many details. And 2, it's meant to be a starting point in case you want to introduce a new evil faction in an ongoing campaign. It's heavily inspired by Shocker, the main antagonist of 1971's Kamen Rider. And it wouldn't be Kamen Rider if it didn't have the Kaijin. The adventure calls them terrors, humanoid monsters that assume a commanding role within the Waking Shock. And they're the results of painful surgeries and profane rituals, altering their bodies and their souls and leaving them completely loyal to the Waking Shock's ideals. And this is where the players start. Now, if you're a player watching this video, this is your big spoiler warning. I won't be giving the nitty-gritty of the adventure, but I will talk about its major story beats. Room 1 starts at the very end of the dungeon. with each PC bound on a gurney after several rounds of gruesome alterations. This is the Terror Transformation Room, and the ritual that would have turned the party into monsters was abruptly halted at the very last second. Unbeknownst to the frantic arcanists and surgeons, the party's magical binds suddenly slacken. This room has 2 challenges, and the first is breaking free. It's up to the players to determine the approach, like using strength to break their binds or dexterity to slip away. But for every round, the enemies might notice their specimens getting loose. A fight is inevitable, but the players have some control over how it starts. Do they wait until everyone's free at the risk of getting caught early? Or do they surprise the enemy as soon as one of their allies is free? Unfortunately, the party is clearly outnumbered, and they start out with 0 equipment. But it's not completely one-sided. In fact, there are 2 things that stack the deck in the party's favor. The first offers temporary buffs, like a bonus to attack or a mage armor-like effect. It's justified as a lingering power boost from this profane ritual. The second thing is new player options, 2 general feats, and 1 new wondrous item. Magically Empowered gives you a pool of dice that adds to your checks and saving throws. Terror Incarnate is an interesting one, as it lets you temporarily transform into a monstrous kaijin. And last but not least is the Belt of the Storm Rider. Its main draw is the Typhoon Transformation property, and it turns you into the OG Kamen Rider, complete with armor, high jumps, and of course, a rider kick. Beyond that, it's up to the players to find weapons from the many alchemical racks and torture tools over the course of the fight. As the dust settles with the party victorious, an older gentleman knocks on the door, seeking to parley. The second room of a 5-room dungeon has roleplay or puzzle elements, and in this adventure, it introduces Arcanist Prospero Greenriver. He's a member of the Waking Shock, and supposedly one of the people who experimented on the party. And yet he's also the one that tampered with the transformation ritual. Even more curious is that he comes with a bag of holding containing the party's equipment. It won't come for free, of course. He wants the party to escort him out of this facility, as his conscience can no longer support the atrocities he's forced to commit. Will your party trust him? Will they trick him into giving their equipment and leave him behind? Or will they simply slay him and deal with their equipment at a later time? The party will need to decide quickly, because the guards are probably going to be on high alert while the party has to navigate through the entire facility. Ideally, the party will try to avoid fighting here, especially if all they have are equipment salvaged from the guards in the first room. Regardless of their approach, they will ultimately reach the center of the facility and enter Room 3. The third room of a 5-room dungeon is a trick or setback. And what bigger setback is there than introducing a major villain in early Kamen Rider? Batman. No, not that one. That one. This introduces a potential early boss fight in the middle of the session, but it's possible to avoid it if your players can stomach the consequences. The Bat arrives hoping to meet the new terrors created by the eggheads over at the Transformation Room. If your party didn't cause too much of a ruckus, the Bat will send a guard away to check on the scientists from Room 1. But if your party wasn't exactly subtle, the Bat will immediately be on high alert and start actively seeking the party. Depending on how your party navigated this facility, this can play out in a few possible outcomes. The quickest resolution is the party sneaking past the Bat. But this creature has very good perception check bonuses, so it won't exactly be easy. And even then, the Bat will start getting bored. He'll set his sights on the prisoners in the cells, and potentially start slaying a few while in the presence of the party. But if the party gets caught or if they intervene, the party won't enter hostilities immediately. Instead, the creature will offer the party safe passage out of the facility, but on one condition. They'll have to take the life of 1 prisoner for each member in the party. A less scrupulous or more desperate party might do it, but a life of heroics is rife with hardship, and saving these prisoners will definitely result in violence. One way or another, your party will move on, hopefully not in a TPK. Because by the time they arrive at the garage, they can find something that puts the rider in Kamen Rider. I made a new magic item for a motorcycle called a Storm Rider. And it works pretty much like a motorcycle. It's a medium object that functions as a vehicle, and it moves really fast. Leaving the facility in style isn't the end of the party's troubles, unfortunately, as Room 4 has the final roadblock. Another terror blocks the path. The Amazing Spider-Man. Nope, not that one. This one. And if the bats survive the encounter with the party in the previous challenge, they'll be flanked by 2 boss-level creatures. Now, 2 CR7 creatures and a few CR3 allies shouldn't be too tough for a party of 3 or 4 Tier 2 adventurers. Fortunately, the bat and the spider have specific abilities that let them take advantage of the map's verticality, so the players are gonna have to manage the terrain on top of the enemies. I understand that this might be a lot to run, especially for new DMs, so I added a bunch of tips and levers to keep the pace going and to tune the difficulty in case it looks too unfair. This also has a bunch of tips on how to integrate any prisoners the party may have rescued in the previous room. But I trust that you know what you're doing, and that your party will eke out a hard-earned victory. And that leads us to Room 5. The final room of a 5-room dungeon is the reward, the revelation, or the plot twist. But this adventure instead closes with introspection. How will the PCs integrate into society after gaining such profane powers? Especially those with more monstrous gifts. And of course, this is only the beginning of their troubles with the waking shock, because they certainly wouldn't let their most recent terrors walk free. I hope you enjoyed that overview of my little tribute to the OG Kamen Rider. So be sure to grab your free copy in the description. It has a 35% discount you can use for all of our shop's Kamen Rider Homebrew. But if you want to get our entire growing catalog for free, consider becoming a $5 member. This even gives you access to some member-exclusive subclasses like Genu Sung or Captain America. And it gets you into our exclusive Discord server, where you can chat with me or other like-minded folks who love Kamen Rider. And finally, I invite you to celebrate Dungeon Jam with me by checking out the playlist linked in the description. But before you go, let's welcome MC to give a shout out to our Mallard Royal Guards.
Hello! It's me, MC, the Mallard Quinn. And we'd like to give a special thank you to these Mallard Royal Guards: Karma Prime, Cyber, Elder Light, Tommy Kamen Rider 88, Mr. Phantom, Game Gamer Gaming, Storm Starshine, Bryant LW, Coinop 1989, KV, Piku, and Cosplay Battle. We're at the tail end of summer here in the Philippines and the heat still hasn't let up. Hope you guys stay cool wherever you are and keep yourselves hydrated. As always, thank you for making it until the end of the video. V's going to catch a few Z's, Godsey needs it. So until next time, V and I hope you have a great day ahead.